I think it's always so much fun if you have like an enterprise size loyalty program and you have, for example, say millions of members, then you usually have a great community around that as well. And I'm staying loyal to, example, Scandinavian Airlines and their Euro bonus program. They have so many members and the community is huge. And I think it's so much fun. Every single time they're making this tiny change, there's always this massive audience talking about it. They're having their thoughts around it. Joe and the Juice, they are a great example. So I spoke to the team, and what they mentioned to me was that they saw that if you did 5 purchases within the app, then they know that they are like becoming loyal to the brand. And I think it's so much fun if you're opening up the app. What is it that you're seeing as a user of the app? It's that they are measuring the 5 first purchases. So they really like being transparent around it as well, that they want you to start doing this like as a habit, that you're using the app, you're coming back to the stores. And I think that's like a great example that they are talking about it openly, that they're saying that we would like you to do these 5 steps, then you can get this.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are going to be talking about a framework, about 5-pillar framework to build a successful enterprise loyalty program. So I believe that this episode is especially interesting for those of you who represent bigger companies and more complex processes. This webinar, this event is actually built on a guide that is coming from a company called Schmack. And today we have a great guest. We have Sebastian Wangerud. Hi, Sebastian. Great to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. And by the end of our conversation, you will exactly know how top brands like Amazon, Starbucks, or Sephora structure their loyalty programs to maximize customer lifetime value, as this is like the most prominent goal behind all the loyalty programs. And I believe that in enterprise, this is especially important. I followed the structure of the guide. So I have to, say that your team has done a very good job because it is very simple to digest. We have basically 3 segments under each of the pillars. So basically this is organized like how it works, how to apply it, and a great example from the market. So I think that this is the structure that we could follow. And before we dive into the details, I would like to get to know a bit more about you and your company. So Sebastian, if you could give us a brief introduction of Schmack and the role in customer loyalty.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Sebastian Wangerud, and I'm the CEO of Schmack. And Schmack is founded in Stockholm, Sweden. But since we founded the company, we have also opened up in London, Paris, and now we're also in Spain. Our customers is everywhere from New York over to Hong Kong, but we have a big focus on Europe because we are mostly based here in Europe. And what we help customers with is everything from sorry, I need to take that again. So what we help our customers with is everything from the strategic part to the decisions of what kind of marketing stack you should have, and also the implementation. But our biggest focus is not to stop there. So we actually help our customers with everything from the copy to the content and to do the follow-ups as well, because we love to do those like feedback loops to see that when you have implemented these platforms, do you actually leverage from them? Or what do you need to make a change to make your work even better? So that's what we do.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's great because it's going to be even more practical. So it's not only going to be the high level overview of the loyalty landscape, but also with your experience, we could give tips on actually how to apply certain strategies into the processes, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay, let's dive in. So the first, okay, the maybe since our conversation is based on the guide that you have produced, there is obviously a lot of research going into such projects. So I just wanted to ask you about the overall approach to loyalty in the enterprise space. And when it comes to your experience, like how does it differ when we compare, let's say, an enterprise and a mid-market company?
Yeah, I think that is a good question. And I think that the boring answer is always that it depends. I think that it depends on like how long you have run the partner or the loyalty program for, or if it's a new program or if it's been around for ages. And also I think it depends on like what is it that you're actually selling, what is it that you're looking for, and what kind of things would you like to get back from your loyal customers. So I think it totally depends. But enterprise, of course, usually they have bigger muscles, and usually they have a bigger portfolio of things that they are selling, and they also have a much more like muscles in terms of making a fun loyalty program.
Absolutely. Would you say that because of the scale, I'm still thinking about, like, in my experience, for example, like those enterprise companies usually, like it all boils down to the numbers. So you have like a lot of like a huge member base, and at least in my experience, even if you make like an incremental change of like something really small, but then eventually it just ends up and being amplified. And here there is a great playground for optimization. Um, have you seen any similar like similarities?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's always so much fun if you have like an enterprise size loyalty program and you have, for example, say millions of members, then you usually have a great community around that as well. And I'm staying loyal to example Scandinavian Airlines and their Euro bonus program. They have so many members and the community is huge, and I think it's so much fun. Every single time they're making this tiny change, there's always this massive audience talking about it. They're having their thoughts around it. Some people are all saying that it was always better before, and some people are actually saying that, oh wow, it's actually becoming better. Now I will be even more loyal to the brand. So I think that, yeah, totally makes sense.
Perfect. Okay, so jumping into the individual pillars. So the first one is habit formation. This is great because it's actually also like really aligned with what we have been seeing and doing and developing here at Open Loyalty. Because the main premise is that loyalty starts with a consistent behavior. So it's not about promotions, but it's actually about building habits that eventually lead to loyalty, right? So I wanted to ask you about your approach towards habit formation, and how does your framework help with forming those habits?
Yeah. And I love that this is the first step, but I think that this is where I always begin when I'm talking to a new customer that needs help with their loyalty program, or if they're thinking about actually creating a loyalty program. And I think this goes back to you as a company. What is it that you're actually looking for, and what kind of um, habit formation would you like to have? And usually that should be, I want my customers to buy more, or I want them to buy more often. And I think that this should be a easy thing to decide. And I think that the important thing is that you need to stick with it as well. So this needs to becoming like one of those like things that you're actually measuring as well. So I think that if you were to look at the Joe and the Juice, they are a great example. So I spoke to the team, and what they mentioned to me was that they saw that if you did 5 purchases within the app, then they know that they are like becoming loyal to the brand. And I think it's so much fun if you're opening up the app. What is it that you're seeing as a user of the app? It's that they are measuring the 5 first purchases. So they really like being transparent around it as well, that they want you to start doing this like as a habit, that you're using the app, you're coming back to the stores. And I think that's like a great example that they are talking about it openly, that they're saying that we would like you to do these 5 steps, then you can get this.
Right. It absolutely makes sense since it's like sort of like an onboarding process, right? So
Yeah,
you learn actually how to interact with the brand, and then
exactly.
in my, let's say, personal point of view as a user, I'm all for it. I mean, if there is like a brand that really like offers me anything like a good product or a good service, right? I can be totally like onboarded through those steps and just being really like communicated pretty straightforwardly that, hey dude, visit our store like 5 times this month, and then we could like unlock you something else, right?
Exactly. And I think that the strong thing within this is also that if you are talking to your customers about it, then you are talking about it in your team as well, of course. And it's not, shouldn't be only your team. It should be the whole company should focus on that. Now we're focusing on our customers to get to these 5 steps. And I think that shows the power with it as well, right? And I know it's not that many companies that would dare to talk about these 5 steps openly, but I think it should be at least communicated internally that these are the 5 steps that we would like to get our users to do, because then we are seeing that as our Northern Star metric, and then we know that they become loyal. So I think that it's important to start finding what you actually want to measure and what is it that you actually want to see happening from your customers.
Absolutely. So as usual, it depends, right? As you said before. But I wanted to ask you about maybe some examples of specific habits that you would look at, when you first analyze a program. Let's say that we have an existing program, something that has already been there. What would be the kind of like, what sort of behaviors should I look at first?
Yeah, and I think that what you should look at is on your power users, or the ones that you are having as customers that you are earning the most from. So even like if you have the loyalty program as of today, then you should know what kind of users you have or customers that you're having that is loyal to you, but also that is a beneficial partnership from. Because
Okay.
there's a lot of loyalty programs that is having a lot of customers that is like they are not even bringing you the value because they are like you're giving too much to them or so. So I think that it's important to find though that click of customers that you believe or that you know is the ones that are giving you the most revenue.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes perfect sense that you start there and try to amplify. Mm, I'm also like looking at the guide. So as well, I've mentioned before, there's the clear structure to it, and we have like how it works. So it goes from like a queue, and then there is a routine, and then there is a
Exactly.
reward. So we have like a 3-step process. If you could
Yes.
just briefly explain, the framework part, and then we could maybe take a look at some of the methods of how to apply it to daily processes.
No, but exactly. I think that's so in that they process. I mean, when you're having the queue, is you have to look at the data and you have to see what makes your customers like what is the behavior that you're seeing that you would like to amplify. And I think that that's when you can have, so if you have a good tool, then you can use that as a having that as a trigger. So now you should trigger this customer journey. So if it's like for example Starbucks, then it could be the morning routine. So when you are off to work, then you should be interested in a coffee. So even like it could be time based, it could be geofence based, it could be if you're near a store, whatever. It could be like any types of cues that you think that could be beneficial for you. Then you should do that as trigger, and that's should be something that the customers also thinks is a good idea. So they actually buy into the idea and they don't feel that you have harassed them or something. They should be like, oh, this is a good idea. And if they do that, then you're starting building their routine. So then you should continuously talk about that. And then you should talk about like building this routine with them. So that's important. So it's not just one trigger. It should be like now you're actually starting to talk about the story. And then you can do some like kind of gamification to them. Visit 2 stores, visit 5 stores this week, or like anything that could you make like happen a routine that is a good thing for you. And of course, it's hard to do just a gamification without anything attached to it. So you have to have that like points, or then you're going to be upgraded to next level or something that your customers can look at and being like, oh, I actually want to have that. That could be about my interest. And that I think is the important third step, that you have to have something attached to it.
Brilliant. Also, like, this is cool because it really points. I mean, it just makes this division between a promotion and a habit formation very
Yeah,
visible. And as you've
yeah,
mentioned, like gamification is perfect for some, like, quests, something that you need to do, any sort of like a challenge or like an action, some sort of behavior, basically, right?
exactly.
So it just definitely goes hand in hand. But we are going to talk about gamification in a moment. So I just wanted to ask you about how to apply this framework of like a cue, routine, and reward into daily operations. If you could give any sort of like examples, like how to apply it actually.
But I think that goes back to where we started talking about what you as a company are looking for. So if you have decided that these are the steps that we would like our customers to do, then you should try to find that cue or trigger that you can actually measure as of today. Start working with that, build a routine on that. So it's not a one off. It should be happening several times. And then I think then, as you said, we will talk about later on the gamification, but then you need to have those steps happening. And to get them through that journey, you need to have the rewards, or it doesn't need to be rewards, but it needs to be something that you can apply and to say to them that if you're doing these steps, then you will get this, or you will be next level or anything. So I think that is like what you should have in mind when building these things. And I think that should be kind of easily to be applied on any kind of product or service.
Gotcha. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so then coming back to the, you've mentioned the example of Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So there is like this morning routine that was amplified. If you could just also bring it to life, perhaps.
Yeah, so in terms of Starbucks, they are doing that the queue and is often a customer's daily coffee craving. And this could be a push notification from the app, but it could also be, I mean, if they are already loyal, then it could be something that you're talking about in the actual app. So then it doesn't need to be a push, but it can be an email, can be a push, can be in the app. And what they were looking for is, of course, that they wanted them to order from the phone. So that is the routine that they were looking for to do. And why they want them to order through the phone is because there's a lot of people that doesn't want to wait in line. They don't want to, and if they don't want to wait in line, then there's a big chance that they're taking like the competitor. It could be Costa. It could be, I don't know,
Sure. Yeah, and any
any other
possible like
store.
competitor
Yeah,
to
exactly,
Starbucks, depending on where you live, right, and your local
exactly.
area.
Yeah, exactly. And then so if you're ordering through the phone, then you have pre-ordered, and that also gives you that like VIP treatment when you're entering the coffee shop. Then you can go, you don't have to wait in line, and you can pick up your coffee. And then attached to that, then you're getting a lot of stars. And when you have reached certain amount of stars, then you will have like an extra espresso shot or an upgrade or even a free coffee.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Absolutely. That makes sense. It's also like a very good example of an omni-channel experience, right? Where
No,
you
it is.
you actually start wherever you are with the app, but then, as you've mentioned, that having this VIP treatment and also avoiding the line, it's
Exactly.
this is probably the biggest reward I can think of.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big one. And maybe they even spell your name correctly as well. You never
Yeah.
know with Starbucks.
Who knows? I mean, it's just like obviously in my country that's not a problem, but anytime I'm just abroad, yeah, that's a struggle. But still, well, what you gonna do? Cool. So the next the next pillar in the framework that we are discussing is actually let me just take a look at it is gamification, because at first I thought that we are still going to discuss something else before it, but it's about gamification and engagement mechanics. So yeah, here, if you could just tell us a bit more about like how or in what way do you use this framework to amplify it. Gamification is huge when it comes to loyalty right now. It's number one trend, so I believe that this is going to be a really interesting part for everyone.
I think that gamification is one of the, as you said, is one of the most important things that you can apply at the moment. I think it's fun as well because a lot of people out there, me included, we would like to climb back that ladder. No matter where it goes, I always want to be uh like promoted, or I always want to take the next step, or I want to be having the VIP treatments, etc. And I think that even though it's not a new thing, I think it's fun to talk about it. And I think that whatever you can measure and whatever you can actually apply to your customer journeys, you should have tried to apply them. And this can be points, it can be stars, it can be amount spent, but it could also be fun parts, like how many of our hotels have you visited? How many of our restaurants have you visited? It can be those small things as well. So it doesn't need to be actual like money change, or it could be like, have you invited a friend or not? So it can be so many different things that you can do. And I think this is like just so much fun. You should have fun with it.
Absolutely. And you've mentioned like inviting friends. Automatically, this mechanics of a referral, right?
Exactly.
So you could try to find out ways like, okay, how do we promote this program among non-members? And then obviously, as you've mentioned, like having anyone who is perhaps not a member yet, and giving them a glimpse of like how this experience with your company might look like, it automatically sounds like a very good example,
Mm.
especially in this enterprise setting, I would say.
Definitely. But the strongest thing with gamification, I think, is that the GPS app Waze that was acquired by Google, I think that what they've done with their gamification is just amazing. So you have this small emoji, or you have this small character in the app, and the only thing that you're earning from using the app and reporting car incidents, or if you're reporting that you're allowed to take a right hand turn here or whatever, then you're getting points. But the only thing that the points will give you is a sword, or if it's a shield, or is a crown. And if you're having a crown, then you're the top 1% users of the app, and that's it. I mean, you're not getting anything more than the points. But I think that shows this strong thing with it as well. And I used the app for years to be able to get that crown. And nowadays I'm driving around with my crown and I'm just so happy with it. But I'm
Uh-huh.
not actually getting anything from it.
Sure, but it's super cool because in this case, as you're mentioning, it is it uses this status right here clearly. So you being like a pro member, you being the most experienced among the members, and you having this like sword or a crown, which is like a representation of your knowledge, I would say, and also like engagement within the platform. It definitely is a very cool thing to play with.
Yeah, it is. And I think that that should be the fun part with it, is just to have fun as well. I think that's so underrated, to dare to use the data that you're having. It maybe doesn't need to make sense in the beginning, but everything you're measuring can be fun. And I think that's like the underrated part with it. So it could be invite friends, or it can be that you're using the community, or it can be that you are reporting a bug in the tool, or can be so many different things.
And it also is related to building this habit. So now I'm thinking, because we started through like discussing habit formation as the foundation for loyalty. So now it just like rings a bell that, okay, cool, since you've been actively engaging with the app every single day for a particular period of time, and now you have this sword or you have this crown, then you you are, let's say, this sort of most engaged member, and then we can learn so much from it as well. So you've also mentioned like how to identify this group, right? This particular group that you want to focus on. So probably those will be the people that you focus on, right? Because these are this symbol just is a representation of the most engaged member, and someone who is definitely getting a lot from the experience. And also what I like about it is that it does not require any discounting. It absolutely just yeah, this is something that engages the audience, but it's not an financial reward in any sense.
Exactly, and I think that's a good thing. But also, I think it's so important just to acknowledge your users as well. So if you're having an app, acknowledging them to logging in. And then you can say, now you're on day 1, day 2, day 3. Now you have opened up the app 5 times this week. We are acknowledging that. And when you're starting to measuring that and you're being transparent towards your users with those numbers, I think that a lot of companies will see some magic happen. I think that also, if you're looking at Duolingo, for an example, that's where their power is. That you want to keep your streak. It makes no sense. I mean, yes, you can compare to your friends, etc., but it's just that you're measuring the streak, and that is one of those like things that really make them the best language learning app.
Yeah, this is cool. That definitely, like, the product is developed in such a way that you're consistent. I mean, it's also like in line with language learning as a
Yeah,
habit, right? Because here consistency is the key thing. So actually having it related to the streak is a very smart choice, a natural one. I was wondering if we think about like other programs that might not be necessarily, how to apply, or what would be your suggestions to implement in gamifications to programs that are like large scale. They have been like created like a long time ago, so they do not have any gamified mechanics. So what would be your, let's say, way of navigating that or working with such a customer? How would you start this process?
I think that, again, I think it's important to look into the group that you actually want to acknowledge and try to find what are they doing that you would like to acknowledge. So are they using the app a lot of times? Maybe you should start gamification on that. Or if they are inviting a lot of friends, then you should acknowledge that. I think the one good example is that there's a lot of like big e-commerces that has great communities. They are acknowledging the reviewers that makes the most reviews. They can acknowledge them in terms of that. They maybe have a small crown on top of their head. They are having different color on their name, or they are allowed to write longer reviews, or they're allowed to upload pictures. Or I think it's so small things, and I think that's when you're talking about like a gamification. It should be fun. It should be gamified. You should take inspiration from games of the world. And I think that is what you should look into.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like it because from this perspective, you are thinking about, okay, how can you identify the most engaged users and what, let's say, possibilities or how can you empower them, or like what sort of like I'm lacking the word now, but what could you unlock? Like what new skills in games that would be probably skills, but in loyalty it also, like you've mentioned, for example, picking up coffee without the waiting in line is also a sort of like a skill,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's something special.
exactly. And I think that one perfect example of this is if you were to look at, there's several um several travel companies is doing this, but if you're looking at Scandinavian Airlines and their Eurobonus program, they've been around forever, and they have as the normal like 4 or 5 different steps. So you have the basic one, you have the silver one, you have the golden one, you have the diamond one, and then they also have a secret level that is the Pandion one that no one knows about. But they have these 4 steps, and I think that what's interesting with that is that they're doing everyone is starting at basic. It's very easy to become the silver one, but it's very hard to achieve the golden status. You have to do 45 flights a year. Most people don't reach that. But if you are a golden member, then they know that you're staying loyal for a long time. Then is when you're actually like taking a flight. And I myself, I am a golden member, and I've talked to my friends who are golden members. And I think it's so much fun when you're talking to each other. So even though you're not able to do you are able to do a direct flight, but if it's not the Scandinavian Airlines, you tend to take the ones that you need to actually change plane as well. Doesn't make sense at all, but you want to achieve a better status, or you are staying so much loyal to the company, so you're keeping to it. But I think that in terms of gamification, what they launched some years ago is that they know that if you're a golden member, then you're doing the extra for them. They are also doing the extra for you. So what if you were to start measuring how many years that you've stayed at the golden level?
Sure.
So now they're measuring that, and if you're staying a golden member for 10 years, then you will become lifetime golden member.
That's
And
super
that's
cool.
and it's a status that is like almost impossible to reach because you have to fly so often with them. But I know there's so many that wants to stay loyal, they want to achieve that, and that's just by that you're starting to measuring that. And yes, it's very cool to be a lifetime gold member, but after 10 years you might even be like tired of flying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 10 years is a lot of time, right? Mm, but still cool. I get the concept of uh, this example that you have provided is great because it recognizes people who are staying longer. So whether it is like 10 years, right, whether it's 5 years, but still, if you could measure, it's also some sort of like a streak now, as I see it, because you can be like, you can have like year 1, year 2, year 3, but obviously loyalty is a sort of like a game where you expect people to stay much longer, right? So makes
And
perfect sense.
they dare to talk about a decade,
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
that's cool. And also really, this is where gamification comes in handy, because what can you do in order to make sure that, okay, people stay with you but they are not bored to death, right? So I believe that once in a while you should probably come with something new. You've mentioned Duolingo. So recently there was a sort of a there was basically the death of Duo, and right. So actually, all those users, they had to make an effort in order to bring him back to life, which is so cool because, like, okay,
Yeah, it's so much fun.
it's just fun. Yeah, it's just like purely fun, but it just keeps you in the app. I would say that it makes the experience so much different. Cool. Okay. So thank you. We've briefly just, touched gamification. Gamification
Yeah.
is something we could probably meet and just discuss
Yes.
gamification alone. But
Absolutely.
since we decided to go with a framework and share with the audience a few different pillars of effective program, let's jump into the third one. So this is personalization and AI driven loyalty. So, something that is also very, very trendy at this point. Um, so, what is your take on personalization and loyalty, briefly?
I think it's an important one. I think that you really need to do it. I think that it's also very hard to do good because, as I mentioned in the beginning, I think it's important that you're making a loyalty program from the company's point of view. So you know what makes your, you know what kind of habits you would like to see from your customers. And if you're doing that on a very personalized level, and then you add AI to make some decisions as well, then it's very easy that it's far away from where you actually started. So I think that it needs to be connected to what you as a company would like to see as well. I think that's like an important thing. But if you're having a easy product, you actually want to see like purchases happen. Or if you were talking about Starbucks, there's not that much you can do. You can offer them a free coffee, or you can offer them a free espresso shot, or you can, and if it's like easy products like that, then I think it's a given, and I think it's so important to do it. And again, have fun with it. So I think that birthday gift, that's just a big yes for me. You
Uh-huh.
should do it, and you should have the data on when a customer's birthday is. So you should acknowledge that, but also have fun from there. I think it's underrated to do. Now you've been a member for 1 year, or now we are celebrating 4 years together. Here's a acknowledgement of it. Again, it doesn't need to be any freebies. It can actually be just a acknowledgement in terms of the gamification, so it can be an extra step or so. But I think it's important nowadays to stand out, to have personalized offers, or um, it can be experiences that you're giving to you as a person and not as a whole group.
Yeah, that's definitely, something that resonates with me. One of the very often, like, when you become a member, right, you need to provide a few details about yourself. And this birthday is interesting because not every loyalty program acknowledges your birthday, even though every single loyalty program asks you for personal details, and very often it's also the
Yeah,
date of
exactly.
birth.
Yeah,
So here, I would say I'm a huge fan of consistency here. If you ask for my date of birth, then like just use it, do something with it, and provide me value, right?
exactly. And I think that you can do actually any kind of birthday recommendations or birthday gifts or any any kind of emails or push notifications you can think of. I think that you should try it out. And I think that my birthday is actually coming up in April. And today I got my first birthday email, but it was a nice one. So I'm a member of Soho House, and they reached out from my local Soho House and said, "Hey, Sebastian, your birthday is coming up. Please tell us if you would like to have your birthday celebrations at the house so we can help you with the booking of the restaurant or book a lunch, or if you want to go big, we can help you make the party happen." And I think
Right.
that was just such an easy but nice email. Yes, they wanted to sell me a lot of things. They wanted to sell me an event. They wanted to sell me at least a restaurant booking. But I thought it was just nice.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Even looking at it from a perspective of a person who still wants to, and let's say needs to do all those things, right? Like booking a table, inviting friends. So now I can see a huge value here when you mentioned that they have planned the campaign so well that you get the message 1 month before. So sometimes it's even like a trigger, like, ooh, okay, now's the time to do it, right? Because I need to confirm if my friends will be available, for example. So
Exactly.
super cool thing. Still, like, no discounts, right? We are not discussing like, hey, we would like to organize a party and it's like free of charge. It's
No,
just
exactly.
helping you out with all the elements of the process.
Exactly. And in terms of if you actually want to send out campaigns, I think that what you should think about them is also the power of making the personalization so heavy that sometimes there's nothing that is being sent out. Oh, now we get the thumbs up. That was
That was interesting. I mean, it's some sort of like a feature that I haven't seen before.
yeah. But I think that's so underrated if you're having that so what I'm meaning with that is every single Monday I'm receiving an email from one of the big grocery stores in Sweden that I'm a member of. And every single Monday they're sending out the campaigns to me. And 95% of the times it's just useless information for me
Right.
because they're not using the data they have on me, which means that I have a kind of a weird purchasing pattern, but it's not like weird, it's just very clear. I only buy organic things. I rarely buy meat, and if I buy meat, it's organic. And I don't buy milk or so I have a pretty easy pattern that they should be able to use against me in terms of they would like me to purchase more products. But every single Monday, they're sending this email. Most of the times is on products that they are offering to a good price that I'm very much not interested about. And most of the times I'm getting angry because it's bad products, it's bad for the environment, it's bad for me, and
Hmm.
still they're trying to get me to buy these ones. And that's why I'm saying that it's such a strong thing to use the data. And if you do not have everything to offer me, don't send anything. Send something else. If you really would like to send something else then. And I think that's underrated.
I feel you. I feel you here. That very often you could go through even like the last 3 times that you did shopping, and you will see some overlaps. You will see probably I mean, still, I'm imagining a situation where you need to figure this out from data alone. there is nothing wrong with basically asking people about their preferences, and
No,
then
exactly.
also like sticking, right, or just having this sort of curated
Mm,
information that is coming your way.
exactly.
Yeah, so obviously there is a lot of to improve here. I'm also like thinking right now, when you've mentioned grocery store, I know one loyalty program that basically operates around discounts on specific items. So I believe that I understand it based on the business model. You have some stock and you want to get rid of it quickly, you want to sell it fast, so then you have this promotion, this reduction of price on a particular item. This is usually like, time sensitive, right? It's like 2 days and you can buy this. But eventually, as an experience for me as a customer, I'm just tired. I just like I don't I just opted out of all the communication because I was just like tired of receiving those discounts on the items I'm not interested in buying anyways. So this is why I believe that we have a very similar experience here. So a lot of there is a lot of room of a lot of opportunity here, right? A lot of room for improvement.
For sure. And I also think that some personalized campaigns can be very easy to do as well. When I lived in the UK, I was a member of Pax Coffee, and they are this coffee subscription service. And their personalization was good in terms of they used the data they had on me, but it could also be as easy as they had this advent calendar. So I had coffee for 25 days during the winter or during Christmas. And what they did the year after was that, hey, since you purchased the calendar last year and it sold out, we wanted to offer you the chance to buy before everyone else this year.
Ah, nice
And that
one,
was
nice one. Yeah.
and that was one of the easiest decisions for me because I was satisfied with it. I want to have it again. It was an easy click, and then I got it.
Perfect. And there's also like clearly a VIP experience for you,
Yeah,
as a person who has enjoyed it before, right? And then
yeah,
this is something that clearly increases loyalty, because now I'm thinking like, hey, I really like this idea of having this calendar in December, but then I check and then it's sold out and nobody even informed me. So then
exactly.
I don't feel that I need to be, let's say, I don't have this emotional connection to the
Mm,
brand, right?
exactly. And now they were thinking of me instead.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because it absolutely goes back to forming habits and not like throwing discounts at people.
Oh, exactly.
Cool. All righty. So then the fourth pillar and the last one that we decided to talk about today is actually tiered and membership based loyalty. You have said a bit about tiers already, and you've mentioned that there is this basic one where everyone falls into after they subscribe, right? Then you have this, let's say, one level up that is still relatively okay. Is it should it be like easy to approach, or actually should it be quite difficult to move from level 1 to level 2?
So I think that what you should aim for here is to have the classic 4 tiers. And I can take your bonus as an example again because I think that program is just lovely. So they have the basic one, everyone is included there, but you should always include some basic things that you are including in the free tier as well, because you
Mm.
need to have some kind of reason to become a member.
Okay,
And if
yeah.
you are an e-commerce, uh, if you are able, give them free delivery, or they need to purchase for less to have the free delivery or something. So I think that you should attach something to that. And then you have the silver step and the second step. That should be easy to achieve. So it can be 4 purchases or 3 purchases or something that most of your customer base can actually reach. And that should be just a pat on the back.
Okay.
You're saying to your members, "Good job, we got you." And it doesn't need to be a big thing happening there. If you're looking at Scandinavian Airlines, what they are giving to their silver members is nothing interesting. They are offering, I think they're offering you a free lounge visit during summer period when no one else is traveling.
Okay. Okay.
when all the business travelers are gone. So something small, and it can be free delivery once, or it can be a free coffee or something. But what you should aim for is that the big golden level, and that's the third step. And here is where you should pack a lot of interesting things for your members. So if you're looking at Scandinavian Airlines, here's where you're getting the fast track. Here's when you're getting to be entering the plane before everyone else. Here's where you're having the business lounges. You're also able to get more points when you're traveling. So you are allowed to be staying on this level. And this one is hard to achieve, but this makes so much of great content. So this is where you should focusing as well when you're talking about the loyalty membership.
Mm-hmm. Sure. But you've mentioned to me before that in order to stay in this tier or become a member, you need to travel more than 45 times,
45
right?
times a year, yeah.
Right. So then obviously like it puts you in the, let's say, the most valuable customer segment.
Yeah, exactly.
So it absolutely makes sense from a point of from a business point of view that, okay, we need to come up with different perks, but still, like if you take a look at the number or the volume of transaction, it just makes sense to do it.
Exactly. So I think that makes a lot of content, and I think most hotels are doing this as well, but I think they should do even it more, because if you're having a hotel, you can give them a free upgrade, or you can most of the times you can give them free checkout or whatever. But I think they should do it even more to talk about it, because this is where you're creating the content and you're helping your members to have like a vision on why they are members, why they're staying loyal, why should they achieve this. And if they're reaching that level once, then you will make sure that they will never want to leave you.
Yeah.
So that's why you should really treat them. And then you have the fourth step, that is the diamond step. Then you need to travel 90 times. So it's like insane amount of travels. And then you're getting even more benefits. But the benefits are not that much better, because you really want them to stay on the golden level. And it should be fine. So for the ones reaching diamond step, good. You have amazing things happening there. But I think that in terms of like the full membership, you should focus on the golden step. And then they have the secret step, and that is the fifth step, which I also think is underrated. And I think more companies should have a secret step, because that's nothing you should talk about. That's something that the community should know about. So you need to have some leaks saying that these things are happening, or we have this invitational only, or something you can do. Or if you are like in e-commerce, maybe you can have like a handwritten card from the CEOs saying just like, thank you, Erik, you mean the world to us, you've been a member, like now you are on the secret level.
Okay.
So it should be very secretive, but that's also like a money-making machine. So if you're looking at American Express example, you have the black card, you have the Centurion. You cannot find the information on their website, but the community talks about it. And that's such a strong thing you can make.
Absolutely. And now I'm thinking that since it's like a secret, but it's like a secret when it comes to company or corporate communication, right? But then as a user, if I get access to those things that no one else has access to, I mean, at least, I probably will tell my friends about it.
Of course, and you should tell them about that. You should shout it out to the world that I have reached this level. And that's like the fun part around it, that you shouldn't sign an NDA with these members. You should like tell them that you're more than welcome to talk about it. We will never acknowledge it like from our point of view, but you're more than welcome to talk about it. And can also be like, if you're having that online community we spoke about, make sure that they have like a diamond crown instead of the golden crown, or like make sure that you help them to talk about this secret level. And then I'm sure you will get like calls to your customer support and saying that, hey, I also would like to achieve that level. And then if you say, yeah, we have that level, but I can't tell you how to reach it.
Sure, that makes sense. It's also like, it is already fun. Even discussing it, it sounds like fun. So now I can imagine that since we are actually, talking about programs that are being built and designed in enterprises, so typically you would have resources to do that. You would have like, a team that is like, community oriented, or like a huge social media team that might also like pick those signals very fast. And then you have this opportunity, or maybe there is this chance of going viral through this sort of like a carefully designed perk that is only available to certain people and nobody knows. I mean, it's not communicated officially, right?
No, exactly. And I think that take inspiration from the luxury brands. I think that Hermes is doing it so good with their Birkin handbag. Everyone wants to have that handbag. Every time that you're walking into the store and trying to buy it, they're saying that we don't have it. But sure, there's people walking around with it all over the world. So people are able to buy it. But also, if you're looking at like Rolex or Patek Philippe and the luxury watches, this is how they've created their company. That's how they are able to keep their premium prices on the products. That's how they're able to every single year they are able to raise the pricing on all of their product lines, because they're keeping that like in a loyalty program that is unknown, that no one knows how to get the latest Daytona or to get a Patek Philippe watch. But sure, there are people walking around with it, and that's like the fun part with it.
Sure, sure. And then obviously it becomes, something that, well, if someone else got it, there's definitely a way to get it, right? So
Yeah,
then
exactly.
you spark the interest.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about, there is one thing about tiers that Duolingo made me think about. Obviously, it's a slightly different situation because here we have an app, and they have the freemium version and the paid version. And there is this component, it's very well designed, in my opinion, where you, as a user of the free version, every now and then you will get, or you will actually win, your chance to use the paid version. And then for like a short period of time, you can see, you can explore, you can actually feel what it means to be a paid member, because you have so many perks that come with it. So what would be your take here? Because I don't see it very often when it comes to loyalty program tiers. So me, for example, being like tier 2 of some program, I don't see that, hey, you've somehow unlocked tier 3, but it's going to be only for 3 days, right? Or like this weekend, whatever. Have you seen something like that? Or like, what is your take on actually introducing the tiers, but only for like limited time, and basically showing people like, is it worth it? Or like, making it we don't like to lose things that are good.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I love the idea, I must say. I think that if you are like Eurobonus and Scandinavian Airlines, I think that there would be a lot of angry people that has achieved the golden member status by doing the actual work. And
Uh-huh.
if they were to open up the doors, which they did during the pandemic, it
Hmm.
was so much easier to reach certain steps. If you were talking to the members, they hated it, but I'm sure that it was a great idea from the company's point of view, because then they could actually open up the lounges. They can show how it was like nice to be a golden member. So I love that idea, to be honest. I think it's a great idea. And again, I think that it should be tried on, why not try it on people that you see should reach the golden status, and maybe help them on the way.
Oh, okay, right. So sort of like a pre-season or like a trailer
Why
experience,
not?
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
something that is
exactly.
it's coming soon, right? So you can just
Yeah.
feel it already, and maybe even get more pumped. And
Mm.
maybe I'm obviously that requires some A/B testing, but I would just love to see how such a limited time experience would influence actually people working towards the actual tier for, let's say, like the whole year. Would it be something that like makes people go crazy on spending in order to get there faster, or not really? So, but this is some, A/B testing in CRM activity, I would say.
Yes, and I actually have a great example on in terms of that. So if you are using YouTube, then I think it's like once a year they are giving you a month for free. So you're getting the YouTube Premium for free. And I've used that like every year, and I've always canceled my like free premium version. But this year they did something that was so good, and what that was that they showed me. So they sent me an email. Thank you for this time. You have watched 45 hours of ad-free videos on YouTube.
Okay.
Are you really sure that you would like to start seeing the ads again? And when they
Right.
use that data
Mm.
towards me,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then it became so much harder for me not to stay as a premium member, because then they are
Right.
acknowledging me that you have used it for 45 hours this month,
Mm-hmm.
and started to talk about, would you really like to see us go again? And
Mm.
would you like to see 45 hours worth of ads like this being
Yeah.
disrupting all the time? And I think that's something that, like, if you're doing that free thing, you should really measuring it. Go back to the gamification, go back to the habit loop, go back to the cues, and
Mm-hmm.
go back to the rewards. And then you should send that back to your customers and saying that, hey, now you have used us this amount of times. Now you have flown with us this amount. Now you have
Yeah.
entered the business class lounge this amount of times. Are you really sure?
That's perfect because it also like comes back to personalization that we've
Yeah,
discussed briefly. And this is the power. Sometimes even like if you give clear information on what was happening, on what
mm,
is happening, then it becomes a clear argument to make a choice. And I love this example with YouTube, but I haven't done it myself yet because now you've encouraged me to do so. But I'm thinking, as you mentioned, since they provide you the exact, let's say, time that you've used the platform, it means that the platform is sticky. So you've used it, right? So you see the
exactly.
value. And also, if you provide the time of ads that you avoided, that's a serious metric. I mean, this is a life saved, right? So, for
Yeah,
example, you've saved like 3 hours of your life with this feature, and then suddenly paying this monthly subscription doesn't look bad at all, right?
exactly. So
Okay.
measure what can you measure. You should measure what you can measure, and then you should use that. And I think
Yes.
this is a powerful thing to have in mind.
And somehow it is something that comes to my mind when I think about huge complex programs in enterprises.
Mm.
Like make sure that you not only like gather data and collect it, right, but like make use of it, and even like the small incremental changes, but it's going to pay huge dividends if you do it consistently. So that, at least to my mind, this is some sort of like takeaway I would share with the audience. Um, Perfect. So thank you so much, because we have covered four. This is the gamification part of our meeting and discussion, because we have shared four pillars of the guide that you have developed, and there is a fifth one. But to everyone who would like to know what the fifth one is, you need to click the link in the description and actually see the actual report and see the guide. So this I'm leaving to the audience, but I wanted to ask you, Sebastian, like about any sort of like a takeaway, and based on your experience and your research, what would be the biggest opportunities for loyalty in the enterprise space?
I think that the opportunities are endless, and I think that now with AI becoming so impressively good, and you cannot say that you don't have the data, or you cannot say that you cannot use the data, because now with AI you should be able to do everything, and you should be able to measure, you should be able to use the data. And I think it's just that you should do that, and you should take the opportunity to do a loyalty or membership, because you need to acknowledge your customers, and you need to acknowledge them in every time that they coming back to your store or to your services, or they're calling you or whatever, you should acknowledge that. And then you should see your customers stick.
Absolutely. And there is one more question that just popped in my mind right now, because like in the enterprise, you usually search for low-hanging fruits. So what would be the example of a low-hanging fruit that is out there? That's something that pops to your mind right away.
I think that going back to what you and Use are doing, make a gamification of the 5 first purchases. Make it easy. Just acknowledge. So start measuring and be transparent with your users and make them coming back. So make this like habit that they're coming back to you. And I think that that's easy. I mean, you can almost use an Excel sheet to do that.
Brilliant, brilliant. I love it. And it's very, very straightforward, very clear. So yeah, guys, first 5 purchases, take a look at that, and then make it fun, make it gamify, make like, try to do something out of it. And then you will see the results happening pretty fast. You will see habits built. Sebastian, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I think that, this is a wrap up, and hopefully we will meet again soon and discuss some loyalty element in detail.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.